Some weeks ago, we made a video where I walked around my house talking about moisture levels and condensation. A few people were surprised to see that I still had single glazed sash windows in the front of the house. Now, I have actually got double glazing in some of the other windows where I've replaced them, but the front of my house, it's got the single glazed sash windows, and I had no great desire to change those, particularly as I look around my neighbourhood and see people have put in some rather tasteless plastic sash windows in many cases. They really haven't done anything to improve the look of their house. You may be looking at your sash windows and thinking about being rattly and drafty and wondering if it's worth you replacing them with double glazed windows. Certainly, if you're looking at from a maintenance point of view, if you're out there every few years like I am, painting them, sanding them down, just maintaining them, you may see the justification for just replacing them with plastic and giving yourself a holiday. Is it worth it on a strictly financial basis? And I think here we really need to rely on government statistics. I know they're not always that reliable, but let's use them because at least people can't argue that I'm making them up. And in this government chart where it shows you the possible savings that you'll make from changing to double glazing, the example of a 3-bedroom semi, and it says that you will save round about £100 a year at current fuel prices. This is 2025, and what they're saying here is that if you have all your windows in the house replaced with double glazed sealed units, draft proofed, that you will save £100 a year on your fuel bill. Now, is that worth it? Okay, you could say that, yeah, £100 a year, it's going to carry on saving you money and fuel prices are going to go up. So that £100 a year may become £120 a year. So at some point you're going to break even on the deal. The only thing is, then you need to look at what you could have done with that money. What would you have been able to do with that £10,000? If you put it into an ISA, how much money would you have got? Now, there is another side to this, of course, is that once you replace your windows, they're draft proof, they're warmer, you will benefit from immediate improved comfort. So if that's important, if what you're trying to do is keep warm, replacing your windows with draft proofing may actually be a very good idea. But what we very often find is that this replacing them, sealing up the house, leads to other problems with condensation. People end up having to run dehumidifiers where they didn't have to before. So there are downsides. There are also things like misting up sealed units, which very often happen. Okay, they're supposed to be guaranteed, but it's my experience that very often in a house full of double glazing, 1 or 2 of the sealed units will start misting up where the moisture gets in between the panes, and you will have to have those replaced. Now, if you can do it yourself, it's not too bad a job, it's not too expensive. But if you've got to get some guy out to do it, you'll find that your savings that you've made are completely wiped out by the fact that you've had to have a sealed unit replaced. Now, if those windows are going to do well, they're going to last you more than 10 years, and they're going to perform well, then you're definitely going to reach that lovely stage where you are making a profit, where you're saving so much on your fuel bills that the double glazing has paid for itself. But when they talk about windows being responsible for 18% of the heat loss in a house, if you start doing the figures on that, you'll very soon find that you run into trouble, because by putting in double glazing, you don't stop the total loss of heat from the windows. So in other words, the 18% doesn't become 0, it becomes maybe 10%. So you're still losing heat, you're losing it at a slower rate, and obviously you're getting drafts in the house. But you will see that just looking at that and saying, okay, if I fix my windows, if I replace my windows, I'm going to save 18% there. If I put in more loft insulation, I'm going to save 30% there. If I put in floor insulation, cavity wall insulation, and so on and so on, you could very easily add up to 100%. Which would mean that you didn't have to heat your house at all. It's complete nonsense when people start looking at the figures and saying you will save 30% heat loss if you put in cavity wall insulation. So beware of the salesman, beware of anyone that tells you that you can save X amount of money by taking their product and installing it in your house. You can save money, but you have to think about it long term, and you have to think about whether your money would be better spent elsewhere. Now, if you're borrowing money to have your windows replaced, the company that's doing the replacement offers you some kind of great finance deal, never to be repeated. Just look at that very objectively, because very often they put the price of the windows up to such an extent that they're no longer actually competitive, but they're offering you a finance deal, which is really, for a lot of people, the thing that clinches the deal, if you like. So be careful out there, and just be careful that you don't listen to glib salesmen, that you look at everything objectively and you think about where your money is best spent. Just one parting thought on this is that if you've got heavy curtains and you draw those curtains across at night, when you're heating the house, when you come home, you may be doing as much good as you would in replacing your windows. Think about that. Think about maybe you can open your curtains in the daytime, especially if you've got a sunny aspect, let the heat in the house, close them up at night time. It's an age-old thing that's been used for hundreds and hundreds of years, and it does actually work, and it does significantly reduce the heat loss from your windows. So I'm Roger Bisbee. Come back and see us soon. We'll be giving more advice to the householders. If you've got any questions, by the way, send them in to Ask Skill Builder, and we'll try our very best to answer them. We get a lot in, so we can't promise to answer every question, but we'll definitely do our best.